I was always impressed by their camaraderie, their professionalism, and their tireless commitment to their work. Many became good friends of mine and remain so. After nearly 40 years of working and interacting with them, I'm even more impressed today. In particular, I want you to know I know the importance of your work. In recent years, you've heard and felt that there's been erosion of support for the anti-drug law enforcement agenda. It's been in Congress, sometimes in state legislatures, and even among the general public. One law enforcement professional told me that he felt disappointed that the government officials didn't understand the importance of our work. Resources have been redirected and not in the right direction sometimes, I think. People have often forgotten that the middle word in your title is enforcement. And resources have not been what we need them to be. What has been the result of this over a period of years? We saw drug purity up, availability of drugs up, and drug prices down. 3 bad trends in this country. We saw addiction up and death up to a degree this nation has never seen before. 64,000 people in 16 died of drug overdose deaths. We expect those numbers to be slightly up this year, but not as much as the 20+% in 2016. So I wanted to be here today to state loudly and clearly to you, this Department of Justice supports you. We believe in you. We believe in the importance and the morality of your mission. DEA's work of enforcing our drug laws has never been more important than it is right now. That is because today we are facing the deadliest drug crisis in American history. We've never seen anything like 64,000 Americans dying from drug overdoses. And preliminary data shows that we are hopefully beginning to arrest that growth trend. But amazingly, for Americans under the age of 50, drug overdoses are now the leading cause of death in our country. For 2018, our goals must be to see these unacceptable overdose death rates fall and to continue to fall in the years to come. Now, this carnage must end. The nation cannot continue in this fashion. No community in America has been immune from the crisis. I personally know people, families who've been bankrupted and torn apart by drug addiction. These days, it's a safe assumption that you and almost every American know of persons too. So our situation is daunting, but we can and will make a positive difference. Ours is not a hopeless mission. Our challenge is not dealing with tides that rise and fall. Things happen as a result of what we do, in my opinion. I've been a part of a movement that took a long time that brought crime and drug rates down in America. We cannot accept a new movement and trend where drug and crime goes up. When we enforce drug laws, we prevent addiction and violence from spreading. A big part of the 20% increase in homicides over 15 and 16, 20% after homicide rates have been declining, is a drug problem in America. There's no doubt about that. The work that you do will now do will help keep drugs out of our country, reduce their availability, drive up their price, reduce their purity and their addictiveness, and that saves lives. That saves families. It saves futures for young people. And that's why this department has been so aggressively pursuing those who would profit over addiction. In August, I announced new resources to find and prosecute the fraudsters who help flood our streets with prescription opioids. The first new resource is a data analytics program called the Opioid Fraud and Abuse Detection Unit. This data analytics team helps us find the telltale signs of opioid-related healthcare fraud by identifying the statistical outliers, like who is prescribing the most drugs, who is dispensing the most drugs, and whose patients are dying. This is an overdue change in policy, in my view. After all, the fraudsters lie, but the numbers don't lie, and now the fraudsters will not be able to hide. I've also assigned experienced prosecutors in opioid hotspots to focus solely on investigating and prosecuting opioid-related healthcare fraud in places where they are especially needed. These drugs are being unlawfully moved in this country. In September, the Department issued our first ever indictments of Chinese nationals for schemes to distribute massive quantities of fentanyl in the United States. And since most of the fentanyl in the country originated in China, I doubt this will be the last case we bring. Fortunately, China has begun to follow Rob and DEA's leadership on this issue. In November, DEA announced plans to schedule all forms of fentanyl, giving us another legal tool to put the drug traffickers behind bars. I applaud that decision. In December, China announced that it would schedule 2 more fentanyl products. So this is forfeiting the ill-gotten gains of drug dealers to weaken their dangerous networks. If we do, we will stop and reverse this surging problem, and the graduates here today will make me even more confident in that goal. I met with DEA special agents. I meet with them often, but I don't always get to see the families. And so I want to take a moment right now to thank all of the DEA families that are here. I hear one out there now, I think. Good. I'm glad you appreciated these comments, young one. It's tough being in a law enforcement family. We know that you're making sacrifices just as your spouses are. Thank you for sharing these remarkable agents with us. I want you to know that this department and this country recognizes families. We appreciate you. So let me conclude by making this clear. We are in this together. We support you and embrace your mission, one that represents a top priority of this Department of Justice. Go at your work honorably in everything you do, with enthusiasm and with determination. Be creative. Come up with better ideas. We can defeat this evil presence that is killing our people, destroying families, weakening our nation. And all of you can be sure of this. You have our thanks, and this Department of Justice will always have your back. Thank you very much. Well, It has been certified to me by the special agent in charge of the DEA Office of Training that members of Basic Agent Class number 212, here present, have successfully completed all of the requirements for graduation and have earned the right to be recognized as special agents of the Drug Enforcement Administration. So I would like now, class, to administer to you your oath of office. Will you stand? I believe, is that the right thing? If you would stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I.
Suzette Abishano. Amber Bernard.
Keith Mykowski.
Ivana Cali.
Devin Callahan. Frank Stiglione. Victor Chica. Jeremy Crowder.
Angela Cruz.
Timothy Nguyen. Jorge Ochoa. Jose Ortiz. Jonathan Poole. Robert Fry. Alvin Rodriguez. Jeremy Rodriguez. Ethan Rose. James Rose. William Scott. Daniel Tutt. Ryan Tide. Bob Wang. Justin Hoder.
Colleen Hobbit.
Michael Coleman.
Lauren Wagner.
Robbie Vega.
Lachey Thomas.
Michael Minnow. Tyler Mansfield. Thomas Long. Christian Hyde. Franklin Ginsburg. Stephen Fox. Jeremy F. Brandon Dennis. Maximo Mella. Hubert Walton.
Janelle Jefferson.
Eric Luna. Taylor Williams. Aristeas Jobaris.
Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation